Good.
So, yeah, I was going to say when I was originally going to introduce you to the group, I was going to say it's Maddie from Elevate. Like I saw a video of you with that saying that. So, do you prefer Maddie or Matt or Matthew?
Yeah, that's fine. Either or, whatever rolls off the tongue. That's
Okay.
it.
So firstly, I just wanted to start by just getting a bit of a background on your business, how you started, when you started, how you got into the building game, and then I'd love to explore a little bit further along how
Yeah.
you started working on the block and with Shayna
Yep.
Blaze and all of that. So a bit of background would be amazing.
Yep. Great. Not a problem. So, did you want me to kick it off, or did you want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
sort of rattle off a
You?
few questions?
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Yeah, go.
realistically, it goes back, well, probably 15 years ago now. I started off in the industry. I sort of finished, went to Marcelin, finished VCE. Actually spent the better part of 8 months studying industrial design at uni, with the sort of idea that I wanted to get into either building design or architecture.
Oh, yeah.
Gave it a crack, but I probably could have seen it through and completed the course, but there was something in it that just wasn't really clicking, wasn't for me. I was sort of unfulfilled. So got through the first 8 to 12 months and sort of reassessed during those holiday periods and made the sort of drastic decision to jump ship and go the hands-on route to get into sort of the property game and get into the industry that way. So I jumped into a carpentry apprenticeship and
Was that
pretty much
local?
for it was with a local builder, based in Eltham. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
okay.
So they covered new homes, renovations, extensions, which was basically it was a good eye opener in terms of seeing basically the carpentry scope at start to finish of what it is to be a residential builder as well. So that opened my eyes in terms of getting a glimpse into everything that goes into the project, not just from a carpentry standpoint. So we were obviously dealing directly with the clients. We were dealing with other industry professionals, but also other trades as well. So I guess being exposed to that environment as an apprentice through my carpentry time, it sort of gave me sort of the ambition to become a builder, and sort of that was a decision that I made through my apprenticeship to sort of that was going to be the next step, starting my business and getting a few employees and earning my stripes in that regard. And then fast forward sort of 3, 4, 5 years out of my time after starting the business, Elevate as a carpentry contracting crew, I got the relevant tickets and the relevant qualifications to become a registered builder.
Yeah, okay. So when you jumped ship and you left uni and you went and did the apprenticeship, did you stay is it 4 years in the apprenticeship for a builder?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So, so carpentry apprenticeship's typically 4 years. I mean, it depends how quickly you move through your schooling. That's making sure that you're ticking off the modules. So I think I sort of got through it. I think I finished up about 6 months early or so. And from there, I stayed on with my existing employer. But I was pretty sort of adamant that I did want to start my own business. So within 6 months of being out of my time, I started the company and had my own apprentice under me straight away. So,
so had
from
you
there, it was
always
just
had that entrepreneurial wanting to start your own business sort of thing in you?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've always worked, even through school and things like that. Like the minute I turned whatever the working age is, the minute I turned 14 or 14, 9 months, I had a part-time job, and then even then, like I was working after hours when I was finishing school and on weekends and things like that. And then as I finished school and I was at uni, had whatever jobs I could get to sort of piece together my spare time and things like that. And then even as I was an apprentice as well, I was bartending of a night, and a courier for a pharmacy as well, delivering medication to nursing homes and all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've had a wealth of experience in different industries, but I sort of I like being busy, and yeah, I've always been one to sort of put my head down and work, and it's yeah, just sort of a bit of progression, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the entrepreneurial life. I think it's not for everyone. I think but yeah, if it's for you, it's like, I don't know, it just lights you on fire, doesn't it? It's just something that
No, that's it.
doesn't feel
And
like,
as I said, I like being busy. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, early days of my apprenticeship, I was bartending of sort of Friday and Saturday nights, and then as that sort of wore a little bit thin, or maybe on the other hand, I sort of got a little bit more confident as a carpenter. I could sort of replace that time spent and that started just doing sort of just maintenance work and trade type maintenance work for sort of your everyday homeowner as well. So it was and doing that sort of gave me sort of the exposure to working for myself, doing sort of smaller maintenance DIY jobs on the weekend for everyday homeowners. It was good.
So when you started Elevate, did
Yes.
you understand the business back end? Was that a hard thing to grasp? Did you, like, you were good at your trade? Was that harder, or did you find that really easy? How did that all go down?
It's always, yeah, look, so when I was apprentice, I also did spend 2.5 years at night school, so doing my certificate 4 in building construction. So I chose to do that to put me on the best path to be able to get my builder's license when I was ready. I had in my head that I used the time during my apprenticeship to do that schooling because I knew that once I finished my apprenticeship, it'd be hard to revert back to going back to trade school, going back to night school to do that relevant schooling. So I sort of figured, look, now that I'm in the groove and I'm young and I don't really have any commitments, I can use this time now to do the certificate 4 course and make sure that I've got that under my belt. As a result of doing that schooling, they touch on a little bit of business management and those sort of things, and looking at your cash flow and all those sort of things. Although it be pretty sort of, they brush over it, to be honest. But at least it gives you an insight as to how to best set you up and what the basics are. And then from that, I guess it's, I actually enjoy that side of things, so I'm sort of quite interested and willing to learn. But I'm a big advocate of, you have to learn by doing. I mean, you can sit there with your head in the books, but until it's your business and your money on the line and you're actually physically quoting jobs, that's the best way to learn. I guess you just have to be strategic in terms of the areas that you roll the dice in to make sure if you do stuff up or something goes wrong, you're in a position to recover.
Yeah. And so how did elevate itself? Like, you were going through, you've got your own business sorted. What happened? What was the thing that changed?
Yeah, it's a tough one to answer. I mean, when I did start the business, we were just sort of contracting to local builders. So as I said, straight out of my apprenticeship, I employed my own apprentice, and we were just subcontracting to other builders, taking care of the carpentry package. We were just floating around, mostly local work, but just floating around, doing start to finish carpentry. And I guess we provided a good service, and that side of things sort of grew. So I started putting on a couple of subcontractors to work with me hand in hand. And then obviously we got the opportunity in the early days. It was only it was probably 8 months after I started the business, we got the opportunity to do our first season of the block.
How did
which
that happen?
was, so that was, I had a mutual contact who had done it a few years beforehand.
Right.
So his hat was already in the ring. And he had a bad experience. And he wasn't interested in doing it again. And I just bumped into him at the timber yard one day, and we were just talking, and he mentioned that that the new season was starting, and he received a phone call as to whether he was interested in going around again and committing to it again. And he was pretty blunt and pretty honest as to how bad his experience was. And then I sort of started thinking about it. And at the end of the conversation, I just said, "Do you still have their number?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, why?" I said, "Can you pass my number on to them? I'd do it." he goes, "What? After everything I just told you?" I said, "Oh, I've got nothing to lose." So
Yeah.
that was pretty much that, just a passing comment. And lo and behold, he did pass my phone number on. And 2 days later, I was working on my own project out in Mitcham, and I got the phone call from the contestants. And it was day one. They pretty much said, if you're keen and if you're on board, you got to be here by 2 p.m. And this
Okay.
was 10 a.m. when they called me. So yeah, basically had 4 hours to get there, and I got there a little bit after 2, and before I knew it, I was getting mic'd up with a camera in my face, and that was pretty much day one. Yeah.
Wow. And would you say that that's like, I can imagine that there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that's not so good. But the feeling that I sort of get is you're able to handle that stuff, you know how to put your best foot forward. Is that what happened? Like you just
Yeah.
managed
Yeah.
it in such a way?
Yeah. Look, I was definitely in over my head in terms of experience, and basically me trying to fulfill the role as a builder for the contestants, but only being 8 months out of my apprenticeship. Like I was 23 years old, so I was definitely overcommitted, and probably trying to bluff my way through. But at the same time, I mean, I've got good contacts I can lean on. Like I've got a reliable plumber. I've got a good strong network of carpenters that I brought in to give me a helping hand as well. All their relative trades, like our electrician, our tilers, and everyone like that. Once I reached out to them and outlined the situation that I got myself in, they were first to put their hand up, and they were there at the drop of a hat to help me and support me, because at the end of the day, I had these good relationships with friends and trades, but I needed their experience and their support to be able to
Pull it
deliver for the
off.
team and bring it through to fruition. So they got around us, and they fully committed just as much as I did. And that was basically testament to sort of the good team that we made and how we were able to create a good reputation off the back of that first season.
Yeah. And would you say that the whole relationship building has been key to the success of Elevate? Like, that's been a really important
Yeah,
part to building for you?
absolutely. I mean, it's not only sort of the path and the projects that I want to take on, but it's obviously the clientele, but it's the team of tradesmen and employees that we've got around us as well. Like I'm very particular with who I associate myself with. So if there's not that element of respect, or if there's not that team mentality and us all being on the same page, then it just doesn't work. And I tend to get frustrated when we're not all on the same page, and we're not working towards the same end goal. So it's
Yeah.
very much a team atmosphere and a team mentality to be able to deliver a quality end result for the client. Like, I mean, we were talking the other day with a few of my leading hand carpenters, and we just sort of were looking back at the past few years. And I mean, even going beyond the past few years, the past 5-6 years, we've never really had a bad client. But I think that's testament to basically us making sure that we work with the right clientele, but it's also the clientele respecting and appreciating us and our team as well. There's that element of trust and respect there, and that's what creates a really good atmosphere and gives us the ability to deliver successful projects.
So obviously did that after that stint on the block, what happened to the
Yep.
business after that? What happened to, did
Yeah,
you
so
have a lot
it
of
was a
eyes on it?
massive. Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't. It didn't catapult us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, once the season ended, we just went back to our standard domestic work,
Yeah.
and then just ticked along. Off the back of that, obviously in the production team and the franchise that is the block, they've got sort of different networks and different contacts, and they've got offshoot television shows as well. So that first season led to us being involved the following year in another TV show called Renault Rumble. It's not on anymore, but that was a pretty successful TV show 8 or 9 years ago. So we did a season of that. And then subsequently beyond that, we did every second year going back to the block. So I
Right.
think that continuity and consistency and brand awareness has really helped.
Yeah.
We weren't just sort of we weren't it showed that we weren't just sort of a one hit wonder. And every
Yeah.
year that we committed to it, we did get shown in quite a positive light. We've done what 5 seasons over the past 8 years, and we've won 2 of them. So we've been able to sort of not only participate but also do quite well and have a pretty good reputation and pretty good quality of work.
Yeah. And would you go on it again? Like, or have you done your time in the block?
Um, I'm a yes man, so I never say no, but it really just depends on timing and things like that. It's got to the point now where I've probably gotten the most out of it that I ever will,
Yeah.
doing it time and time again. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I genuinely enjoy it. I genuinely enjoy the challenge.
Yeah.
Probably 2 years ago, I said that I was done, and then I went again last year and committed again last year. But it was because last year was something completely different. It was the 20-acre properties out in Gisborne, so it
Yes.
was a bit of a novelty, and it was overly ambitious from the production side of things. But yeah, that was why I was keen to put my hand up, because it was a challenge, and it's personal growth as well. It's not
Yeah.
only sort of what you're able to deliver, but it's immersing yourself in difficult environments and being able to rise to the challenge and still
Not,
sort of
not,
keeping your wits about you and being able to deliver what you would on the outside world.
not losing the plot on TV. I'm going to.
That's it. That's it. Just take a deep breath.
Yeah. Um, I know that's so amazing. Like you said, 8 months out of your apprenticeship, you're already
Yeah.
saying yes to the block. Like, how does that happen? Like, what is that, just that you're purely driven like that? You love the
Yeah.
challenge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
say
think that's
yes.
what it was. There was no ego or arrogance about it. It was more just full faith in sort of the experience that I had through my apprenticeship. And as I said, the employer that I was doing my apprenticeship under, their scope of works was very much insurance work and heritage renovations and things like that. So I had really good exposure to sort of pulling things apart and piecing things back together,
Right.
and
Okay.
and a bit of an unconventional build method in terms of doing insurance work, where scope of works is quite tight and quite precise as to where you're starting and stopping. So you have to be good at what you do and think outside the
Yeah.
square.
Yeah.
It's not just basically a brand new build of prefab walls and trusses on a concrete slab. It wasn't like that at all. So I
Yeah.
think that experience in my early days was a bit of a blessing.
Yeah.
But it was also just, yeah, I suppose my mentality of just saying yes and
Yeah.
being
Say yes.
backing myself into a corner and having no other option but to work it out.
Well, sometimes you just got to do that, don't you? Sometimes you just got to
Yeah,
say yes and then work it out later. Work out how,
exactly.
yeah, what later. Which sort of
That's
leads me
it.
to interior design and being involved with working with designers. At what stage do you usually get involved or have the interior designer come in? Because I'm guessing, is all of your work residential?
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Okay. So yeah. Do you work with many interior designers?
Yeah, we certainly do. Realistically, every one of our client, like our projects range from Greensborough to Northcote to Toorak, to be perfectly honest,
Yeah.
and we do the everyday homeowner, and we also do high profile projects. The common driving force with every project is budget. So, irrespective of who the client is or where the project is, it's working out, okay, where do we need this to land? What's the driving force of the budget? Is it basically the client's borrowing capacity, or is it spreadsheets and the return on investment if it is a money making exercise? So that's always the number one question. So what we try and identify is what it is that the client has to spend, what it is that they need to get out of the property in terms of sheer size, how many bedrooms, home office, entertaining space, all that sort of stuff. And then reverse engineering it and cost engineering it from there. Then we can work out, okay, then once we've got those things nutted out, what's going into it? What's the level of fixtures and fittings?
Yeah.
You're not really going to be putting two rack finishes in a suburb that's
Yeah.
that's
I was
that's
going to
not
say
that's
Malcolm.
not that that's not that demographic, and the
Yeah,
clientele, or you're not going to get a return on investment because it's just over and above what that demographic and that target audience is willing to appreciate
yeah,
in reality. So that's the thing. It's being sympathetic to where the property is as well,
yeah,
but also everyone's tastes and likes and dislikes are completely subjective as well. So that's another thing that we find it difficult to mediate. What one client does like, another client doesn't. So
yeah,
it's just listening. At the end of the day, the client holds the cards, but it's about trying to identify what the driving forces are and extract that information from them so we can lay it all out on the table and then work out what direction we go in.
and then who you need to support it. Is it so?
Exactly.
How many jobs, like what percentage, just roughly, would an interiors designer be involved in your projects, for example?
Oh, yeah, over
Most?
half of them, definitely. Over
Okay.
half of them. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're outsourcing, so it's not in-house. We were saying that before.
No,
Um,
it's not in house. I mean, we sometimes we do. We've got our standard sort of selection and spec list where we use our preferred suppliers, basically just so we can put the early day prime cost allowances to the fixtures and fittings, just so we can work out exactly where the build cost is sitting. So we've
yeah,
got our standard sort of offerings, and then sort of the client sort of browse and pick and choose within those parameters.
yeah,
But working beyond that, if they're wanting sort of more detail or a little bit more customized selections, then we engage an interior designer. We've got three that we work closely with and have done over the past few years, and then they just nominate their design packages, and then we work hand in hand with them as to what will and won't work, and making sure that whatever's been nominated in terms of the FFE schedule is in alignment with the allowances that we've given based on that price point.
and can I ask who those three are? Who do you work with? Do you know them off the?
Yeah, so yeah. So Ali Harris, so she's Cosley Design. She was actually an old client of ours going back probably 3 to 4 years ago. Off the back of that project that we did for her, she found her love of interiors, and has
Which they do
subsequently
often, don't they? When they build,
exactly, yeah,
yeah,
that's right. And
yeah,
subsequently, she's become gotten into the industry and become an interior designer herself.
yeah. And who are the other ones? Did you say?
So we've also got Tomorrow Living Co., which is Kate Cosgrove,
Okay, don't know who.
and also Vision Design Studio, which is Jenny Price.
Okay. And this is something that a lot of the women in the group want to know. If they were pitching to a builder, what would they go about? Like, what would be useful for you if they were going to pitch to you the services of an interior designer? What would you be looking for, or what wouldn't you want to know? Like, what would be a waste of time for you?
Um, no, I think realistically, if an interior designer was just sort of shopping around and offering their services, first of all what I would like to see is basically a bit of a portfolio of current or previous jobs that they've specced up, just to make sure that style and
The aesthetic match.
trends are in alignment with our style of clientele and also our typical sort of typical projects. A fee proposal is very important, so we know the fees associated and the costs associated with that service. That's always a driving question from the client. Okay, yeah, no worries, we can engage a interior designer, but what's that going to cost me? So not only a fee proposal, but also what that gets them in terms of documentation, and how far their services extend. If it does go down the road of actually basically sourcing the products as well and procurement and all that sort of thing, or whether it's just simply nominating and then it's handed over to the builder to then source and supply.
And would you get many people offering their services to you guys? Like, or do you see it a lot, or is it rare? Like, is persistence a key? Like, if you see something, like, what's going to make them stand out maybe a bit more?
persistence can sometimes go the other way.
Yes.
I mean, it's just my personal preference. If someone reaches out or is a cold phone call, and if I'm busy or preoccupied with something else, and if it's not of interest to me, I won't pursue it or I won't engage. But if they're persistent and they keep handing me and keep going and going and going, it just becomes a bit of a nuisance. So I think
Yes.
cold phone calls as well. I mean, my phone probably rings 50 to 100 times a day. So if yeah, cold phone calls I tend to not like. I
Yeah.
think I think an intro email and make it personalized so it doesn't come across as just a generic one. Make it personalized to the builder or the company that you're trying to engage with. And then from there, just leave the ball in the builder's court.
Yeah.
If it's of interest, they'll reach out to you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I think if the services that you're providing are genuine, and there's a need from the builder's perspective, they'd be mad not to engage or not to feel you out or try and suss out how it would be an attribute to their business, really.
Yeah. And do you see it as like a really good thing to add to your business? Like, is it like 50% of
Yeah.
the time it is, if the budget allows, but does it elevate and take the project to the next level? Or
It
is it,
certainly does, provided we're on the same page. Sometimes, I
yeah,
mean, in the past, we've worked with some designers, and not to speak ill of building designers, but they've got in their head what they want to put into the project, and
yeah,
I'm left holding the cards trying to bring it to fruition, and the budget just doesn't permit, and it's you sort of start butting heads after a while. So as long as we're on the same page and there's that mutual appreciation of what we're trying to achieve, at the end of the day, we're trying to bring the project to fruition for the client. It's as simple as that. So it's
yeah,
about listening to what the client's wants and needs are,
yeah,
but the key driving force is what they've got to spend. If the money's not there, then we have to respec and we have to be sympathetic to the overall budget, and then sadly, it's how we create the same aesthetic, but
yeah, with the lesser,
take it a step, take it a step down. Yeah, because it can be done. I mean, we do it all the time. It's
yeah,
trying to, and especially given the past 2 years in the building industry, I mean, construction costs have gone up 20-30%. So it's
yeah,
it's a lot of the time you can't pick that out of the structure. Sadly, you've got to concede on your fixtures and fittings. So how can we concede and still get a premium look, without the price tag that goes with
yeah.
it?
And realistically, the fixtures and fittings can cost an absolute fortune, can't they? They can throw a budget right
Yeah.
out depending on what the designer chooses. And I'm gathering some designers don't even know the price of what they're choosing. They're just saying to the client, put this in or put that in, and have no idea of what that costs. Or some
Well,
of them.
that the idea of that makes me cringe, to be honest, because so many times I'll see a set of pre-designs and a preliminary FFE schedule, and I'll just have a look at it. I said, "Is like," and then I'll go back to the client directly, and I'll say, "Are you aware of what's been spec'd up?" And they go, "Oh, the designer we just let them nominate what they wanted to." I said, "Well, you can get a kitchen mixer for a third of the price." And they go, "Oh yeah, we don't want to spend $1,800 on a kitchen mixer. We're happy to spend $700 or $800." Well, there you go.
Yeah,
So that's the thing. It's about having open communication and having these conversations, because ultimately it's like how builders are occupied with their current live jobs. So if they
yeah,
have to spend a lot of time in the preliminary stages of a project and constantly going back and going that respec, requote, it's just they
well, you
start putting that project into a category of the back burner, because it's just
yeah,
it's sucking time and effort out of them, and it's not ready for pricing because nothing's definitive. So the more you can have an open line of communication and know where you're aiming from the get go, then it saves time and effort from everyone's point of view, and then it prevents everyone getting worn down.
it's like that relationship building, isn't it? You've got to have just as good a
Yeah,
relationship with the designers, yeah. And in terms of,
absolutely.
everyone else going AWOL over, the last 2 years in the building industry, what's been something that, your business has been able to, keep going and lead the way? And what do you attribute that to? What's been good work?
I think it's yeah. I think it's pride and passion is what we've always sort of tried to put forward. Like I genuinely enjoy what I do, and like if even if I didn't have bills to pay, I'd still be building and tinkering around and probably renovating my own houses and things like that. So I genuinely enjoy it. I think what's sort of put us in good stead is the past couple of years is the pre-construction consultancy services that we do have been offering. So many clients, they all say the same thing. Basically, no other builder wants to put time into the early stages of the project. They just pretty much flick the documentation back to me and say, "Oh, circle back when you've got engineering and when you've got your selections nutted out." So the poor clients have this concept or this idea of this floor plan. They're trying to get a feel for where the build cost is sitting, but no builders are actually amusing the idea of putting a cost to it because they don't have the engineering. So
Yeah,
like it's from my end, it's pretty disappointing to hear that builders are doing that because it's you can put preliminary prices to concept plans based off sheer square meters. It's not going to be accurate, but it will be within 10% of the project costs.
yeah,
And from there, it's enough for everyone involved in the project to know where we're aiming
yeah,
because it's unfortunately architects and interior designers and clients alike, the construction costs have moved so much over the past 2 years that it's hard to know where they're currently at. So
yeah.
are they designing a 45 square home or are they designing a 28 square home?
Yes.
It's only the builder can provide that information early days to be able to put them on the right path and basically streamline the design and concept and build process from there on.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of, I've got a few questions from the group. You told me that what you wanted to see. How many projects at any one time are you working on, you guys?
So we've typically got 4 to 5 projects on at any one time. We're
Yeah.
sort of cautious of our overlap. We've got a good tight knit team, but the way I structure the projects on site is I've got 4 leading hand carpenters, and they see their project through from start to finish. So the same individual that's carrying out the earthworks
Oh, yeah.
will be their hand over day. That's the leading hand carpenter. The buck stops with him with the day-to-day operations on site. So 4 to 5 projects is what our capacity is, but there's typically a little bit of overlap as well. So we're sort of pushing out 6 to 7 per year, but 4 to 5 at any one time.
Okay, that's amazing. And trends for 2024, what are you saying coming in?
That's a good question. Where I'm still seeing a bit of a not a hangover, but still a bit of an overlap of existing trends. Obviously, your sort of moody, earthy colours are still hanging around, like your sage greens, your navy blues, and your maroons and things like that. Curves are definitely still around.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a again going back probably the past 12 months, Moroccan inspired earthy tones and handmade tiles have been a popular one.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's a bit of a blend of
It's not so much
bit of a
white,
blend.
white and black anymore.
Yeah, no,
That,
that's right. Yeah. The monochromatic palette has sort of been pushed out a little bit, and it's more of sort of not going down the road of eclectic, but it's a bit of a blend now. It's
yeah.
it's not so yeah. It's everyone's sort of getting a little bit creative and wanting to sort of put their own flair on things rather than everything being straight out of a magazine cover and everyone being sort of mimicking what the current trends are.
Do you have that though? Do you have people going like they've got their Home Beautiful or House and Garden or Vogue, I don't know, and they come and show you this is the look that I want? Like, is Farmhouse still big? Or is it, that
It's
look?
it. I mean, it certainly is, but I'm seeing more of a blend, and I mean, I'll always be willing to put my 2 cents in. I mean, if a client was to come to me and they go, I want to use finger tiles or Kit Kat tiles, I'll be that's 2021. It's sort of like, well, I don't know. It's been done to death. And in my personal opinion, I like sort of doing things that are a little bit different or fresh or innovative. So it's trying to find things that are a little bit different and not indicative of the year that you renovated the property. It's yeah, trying to sort of be a little bit different. And at the end of the day, it's your own home, so there's no reason to copy what the current trend is, because trends come and go. They actually go full circle, to be honest. So what was popular 8 years ago, it was probably going to make a resurgence in
Yeah.
some form.
And what about monument? Like, is that still a big color in the building game? Like, is it sort of moving away from?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. It's
Still,
a safe option. Color Bond is actually bringing out a whole new range of colors. They're bringing out like almost intermediate colors between the sort of set parameters of surf mist, color bond, and night sky. They're actually bringing in sort of in between colors as well, which is quite exciting. But at the end of the day, like Monument it's pretty safe. I mean, it goes with everything, but at the same time,
classy too, isn't it? It's like,
it is. It's a perfect balance between obviously a dark charcoal, but it's sort of still got the blue tones through it, so it goes well with all sorts of greys and even looking out into your landscape and things like that. It lets your greenery pop and shine through. So it's popular for a reason, but at the same time, I'm still very much an advocate of doing something a little bit different. I mean, I renovated my place a couple of years ago, and everyone was doing monument and shale grey, whereas I opted to do basalt, which is a bit of a lighter version of the monument. So it's a little bit lighter and a little bit crisper rather than being sort of too dark and gloomy. So you can have some fun with it, and at the end of the day, really, there's no right or wrong. It's your property, so as long as you like it,
yes.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Do you like having the video content on your, like, has that been instrumental in your Instagram? Like, what do you run your own
Yeah.
Instagram? Do you let others?
Yeah, no, I run it. I'm probably a little bit too controlling to to let anyone else take over. It's more so just because I'm particular with sort of what I want to post and the content that I want to put out there. So I mean, I could full well outsource it. I've got a videographer that basically edits and captures our on-site content, but then they just bundle it up and then I chop it up and edit it and sort of repurpose it in that regard. In terms of the text and the copy, I write all that just because I'm cautious of the messaging and the content that we're putting out there and how we want to come across. I think if you're not in the industry or you're not the business owner and you're not completely across the nitty gritty and the specifics of the individual project, I think the posts and the content can lose a little bit of substance or a little bit of merit if they're just like a blasé post about just being on site swinging a hammer. You know what I mean? So I'm pretty calculated with sort of the posts and the content that we put out there.
Yeah, I can tell that actually. I was interested to know whether it was yours or not because, yeah, I think I don't hand over my Instagram to anyone either. I actually don't mind doing it. I like it, and it's in control of it, and it's representative of, you know, where I want the business to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So okay, amazing.
And it pays dividends as well. I mean, we often get, not saying that that's the only driving force, but we often get potential clients that sort of do a bit of background check, and we've linked our social media to our website. So it's almost like a live, almost like a blog post in a way. So if they're scrolling through our website, they can see our latest projects before we have the big, pretty portfolio handover images. So it's they can see what we're up to, and if we're generally proud about what we're producing on site and we're willing to provide site updates and things like that, it shows that we're open and transparent and we've got nothing to hide. So I think that only helps in terms of winning clients over and giving them a sense of comfort in terms of how we operate before they actually engage us.
Well, it's such a great platform, isn't it? Because you drive leads out of Instagram, like the amount of people watching it, saving it, you know, they might not necessarily interact straight away, but eventually I feel like they do interact. and then you can convert them into clients. It's amazing. It's so powerful, and it's free.
And that's the thing. Exactly right. And I'm an advocate for it being a compounding effect. Like, it's no one post that's going to win you over. It's if you've been doing it consistently for 4 to 5 years, I think that's what shows that genuinely you're passionate and you're sticking to the course. You're not just a blow in that started up an account and put half a dozen pretty pictures up there, and it's they can see through that. So I think if you've got a history and if you've earned your stripes, it makes potential clients feel a bit safer.
Yeah, and I think video content is amazing. It just elevates you to the next level, doesn't it? Like, it allows
Yeah,
people another side to your business, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah,
in your business too, it would be more to have that video content because you get to see on site, behind the scenes would be, yeah, I could imagine very powerful for you.
yeah. And it's a bit more personal as well. I mean, clients, I guess, in a roundabout way, they feel like they sort of know how I come across and can see the passion and the transparency before we've even met in a way. So I think
No,
the
like a
way
trust.
we that's it. No, I think the way we use it is nothing but positive. I've never really had anything negative come out of it. So yeah, it's nothing but an attribute to the business, that's for sure.
Yeah, and in terms of mentors, your own mentors, like, do you listen to any particular podcasts, or are there people that you look up to inside and outside of the industry? Like, what keeps you going?
Yeah, I'm always sort of observing what other builders are doing, and whether it be in the same area as us or even interstate. There's a few builders that are doing fantastic things up in the Gold Coast and also in and around New South Wales as well. But it's I don't know. I'm pretty proud with how we operate and what we're doing. So I mean, me observing other builders, it's not from a jealousy or judgmental side of things. It's just sort of a bit of an acknowledgement and having a look at what other people are doing and saying, okay, they're operating that way. It obviously works for them. So why aren't I doing that, or how can I adapt that or tweak that to suit us? So it's just sort of learning through other people's operations and and just from a curiosity point of view to try and sort of better how we operate and and put ourselves in a better position, really.
Do you read any, like, do you do podcasts, or do you listen to any in
Yeah,
particular? What's
yeah.
your
Whenever I'm in the car, that's the go-to. So we've got a few. There's a couple of building mentors. One's up in Queensland who are quite good. There's a couple local ones down in Melbourne. So Aaron Kyle, who runs Build Hatch, he basically just travels all around the eastern seaboard and has a chat to different industry professionals. So he's great. Dwayne
your
Pierce of
own podcast, will you?
Dwayne. Yeah, yeah. I've been on Aaron Kyle's Build Hatch one.
I'll listen to that.
So he's good. He just has a genuine, frank conversation, and just lets people sort of tell their story and their perspectives of the building industry. So it's just good hearing other people's stories and
Yeah, it's
why
so
they're doing what they're doing and their own learnings. Because I think experience is the best teacher. So if you can learn through other people's experiences, then you don't have to go through the pain and suffering yourself, I think.
the wheel. If you don't have to
That's it.
reinvent it.
Exactly.
Um, okay, one last question for you, Matt. I really appreciate your time today, so thank you so very
That's
much.
all right.
Um,
Not a problem.
if there's something that you really that irritates you about the industry, what would it be? What's the thing that's you could change something
That's a
about the
good question.
there's something you would
I'm
put you on the spot
just
there.
trying to think. It's a Yeah, no, you have. It's a difficult one. It's getting harder and harder in terms of the red tape and the hoops that you have to jump through to get a project off the ground. That's somewhat frustrating because it's hard to put a timeline on it. There's so many industry professionals that have to play their role. So many permits, so many authority fees that have to be ticked off and things like that. That's frustrating because so many clients are excited and licking their lips with the anticipation to be able to make a start, and we can't actually give them a timeline. It's, well, the documents and the application's been lodged. Now we just sit and wait, and that can be quite frustrating, especially from a scheduling point of view as well. Yeah. If we've got 3 to 4 projects that are all ready to go, but we're in limbo and we're at the mercy of council or town planning or whatever it may be, or a building surveyor, yeah. It's that can somewhat be frustrating just because it's out of our control. So I don't know what the solution is, but if we could streamline that process, it'd be it'd make life a lot easier.
Yeah. And what do you love about the industry? Like, what's your favourite part about the whole process?
I reckon just the variety. I mean, as coming into the industry as a carpenter, carpentry in itself is so diverse. I'm an advocate for that being the best trade there is, just because there's so many, the skills that you learn and you're on any one project from start to finish. So you're seeing the full scope of the project and the build sequence. But basically going through carpentry, becoming a builder, there's so many options. I mean, you can do renovations, new builds. It's the options are endless. And then furthermore, whether you do want to run your own business or whether you want to be an employee for someone else, being on the tools or a supervisor or management or estimating or contract admin or whatever it may be, there's just a wealth of options and room to move. So it's a really exciting industry to be in, and one that is rapidly changing, which is also keeps it interesting.
Yeah, you've got to keep up to date. And have you got any celebrity projects you're on at the moment? Have you finished up with actionable, or is that project still going?
Yeah, that one finished up. So we finished it up just before it aired on telly. So that was all done and dusted. That was another ambitious project that we were pretty proud with the end result. At the moment, there's no live projects, but there's always a few different leads and a few different prospects that we're always in conversations with. So it's just a matter of just waiting to see when they come through, and we'll be sure to let everyone in once they start and once they're 100% confirmed.
Yeah, signed, sealed, and delivered. And
that's it.
When you're doing the videoing on, the back end, the behind the scenes stuff, do you have to get the buy-in from the client, like that, to use video?
Yeah, so we always flag it with our clients. It's actually now in our clause in our contracts as well. We've never really had an issue. We've had a couple of clients query exactly what the content is that we're capturing, and we just have an open and frank conversation with them as to what it is and what our reasoning is behind it. And once we actually articulate what it is that we're trying to capture, a lot of them are fine with it. We've never really had any pushback, but ultimately, if we have clients that choose that at the end of the day, it's their family home. So if they don't want that posted on the web, then we're sympathetic to that and we'll honour that. It's no issue on our end. It's just if we can have the opportunity to publicise it, then we will.
Yes, it's so good for your business, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely.
Okay. And last one, and I said that before. Yeah. Second child. How is your sleep going?
It's not too bad. So yeah, we've got a crazy 2-year-old daughter running around at home, and 3-week-old little boy. So it's it's busy times, but no, we're doing all right. I'm still smiling, so it can't be too bad.
That's so true. And your wife's doing
she's great. She's she's smiling as well. So it's all happy days.
All right, very good. Well, thank you again so much for your time. I know that the membership's going to absolutely
pleasure.
And thank you for being so open and being open to me hassling you in DMs and saying, can we do this?
No, that's fine.
Yes.
No, as I said, it was needed because I was spread pretty thin. So all good. We got there in the end.
Yes, we did. Well, thank you, and enjoy those newborn days. I know that they're really precious, amazing, and I look forward to following all your projects that are
fantastic. Thank you, much appreciated.
Okay, see you, Matt. Thank you.
Take care. See you later.
Bye.